that route. If exporting trees is good for our country and we can maintain growing more trees so we won't run out, that's a good thing. And that's when we say, okay, China, we don't want you to come get our trees. We will sell it to you instead. Okay? We will create job opportunities for our people in Gambia. And after we do all the research and see what China is doing here with those trees, somebody need to fly from Gambia to China and see where those trees are going and what are they using them for. Come back and say, aha, we know what they're doing with our trees. Let's do it ourselves and sell it to them. We will make more money than them taking it and giving us a kickback. A kickback, this is our resource. We shouldn't be getting a kickback from our resource. We should be getting the revenue from our resources. So that's what I think our government need to do, and think long term, not just now, and making sure that there is a proper accountability. Every tree that we sell, we need to make sure we receive that money that goes into our government quarters. That's something that will, in turn, be divided into different buckets. One bucket is how can we reinvest this money into regrowing our forests, and the other part is, how can we use that money to fund something in our own country for the benefit of our country. So that's a quick summary of what I wanted to say about that.
Excellent. Thank you, Sam, for putting out that, and Alice also put out a great insight. The usefulness of these trees to our nation, and then having to, hold our leaders accountable to make sure that loopholes are closed, so that people would not use these trees for individual, you know, um, gain. So we should definitely scrutinize the exploitation and kind of hold our leaders accountable. Now, I'm gonna go to Balde, but before I go to Balde, I have a video to show when once Balde finish, so that we can go to question session. I can throw out some questions there for you guys to kind of jump into. All right. So Balde, is Balde on or no? Balde, are you with us? It looks like Balde is not right now with us. So perhaps this will be an opportunity to go ahead and play the video, if you guys don't mind. Is that okay? Hello?
Yep, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this is what I was gonna show, something that BBC, I'm gonna see on my screen. BBC just showed. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen about this particular thing. Okay, so can you guys see me?
Yep.
Okay, so this is as this is what. So you guys can see. So so this is just Okay. All right. So back to you guys. This is just an example of what we were just talking about. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, yep, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Let me just stop this. So this is around the border of Gambia next to Senegal. So similar things happening in the Gambia. Now, as panelists, we're just trying to look into how we can prevent this kind of exploitation by the Chinese and other foreigners. So, Balde, what is your take? Balde, can you hear me?
I think I think he's having problem of hearing.
He couldn't hear. Balde couldn't hear, right?
But I can carry on.
Okay, let's jump in before Balde comes. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah, I could see the videos. I mean, at the beginning, that's why I started also, you know, talking about these things. Because if the government don't have anybody to control it, many are done night time. Before morning time, they are already out of the Gambia. So that means no control, you know. And there must be a certain group controlling these things. And I hope that we are having in the Gambia, or to say a certain kind of trees are not going to be felled, or the sizes, you know. And as Mr. Caesar said, because Sweden is doing that too, I think. If you put a tree, you plant one or two. You understand? Just to keep their forests also, because we are not just living for today, we are living for next generation also. You understand? Sweden are doing that. If you cut a tree, you have to plant two or three, and that's why if you go there, you see everything is still green. You know, these are all things this certain group can take care of, and which kind of tree is going to be, and they have to get license. You know, and these people are able to go in the wood also and mark the trees which are allowed. You know, the Europeans do that. They take a white paint or red or so, and only these trees are going to be cut down. If you cut anything rather than that, that company will have problems. So that means only with how to call it, when they are allowed. You understand? And the thing is, the best is to say no raw timber exploitation. You understand? And if anybody is caught with it, then to jail or anything, you know. And even for the people who needs it, whether it's Chinese or our neighbor countries and so, they have to make sure that this needs to be milled first in the Gambia before they leave the border. Because through that, you get automatically the unemployment rate down. Because many Gambians can work at these mill stations.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we're gonna move ahead. I know Balde is having issue connecting, but we have seen the video about the Senegalese, the border of Gambia, the exploitation of redwoods. Like Alice said, most of these things are done because of the fact that the kickbacks are given to our officials, and they are not looking for the future. Instead, they are looking for their own interests, current interests, and allowing these people to come and take our woods. The woods that should be used in our country to help us create, invent stuff, create, like furnitures, use it for other things. Sam already spoke about the benefits of wood, even saving electricity. The benefits of these trees are immense. So it is very important that we look into preservation of our forests in order to have adequate rainfall. It is also important that we use our forests to to create things in the country. Because if you look at it, wood has a lot of capabilities. You can even build a wooden house. You don't have to actually spend that money having to bring a concrete or a cement house. So wood has a lot of things, to the advantage. But we as citizens and the government, we should devise ways how to use our forests so that we can, cultivate things there, and then we can have good rainforest that will also help, grow groundnuts and other things. But if we kind of like let these people exploit our forests, we're not gonna have enough rainforest, and our agriculture will be down. We will not be able to sustain ourselves, agriculturally. So in that case, we will be depending on importation of things, basic things like even groundnuts. Look at right now the statistics on groundnut. We are not even getting, a lot of groundnut produced in the country. And we even rice. When I was young, we used to cultivate our own rice. We have enough rainfalls that we're able to eat what we grow, and we grow what we eat. So all these things we have to put into perspective. That's why it's very important to be replacing this, forest. Anything that is taken out, you have to find a device, a way how to replace that tree. So I think Balde is in now. I can let Balde jump in quickly before we move to the next topic. Balde, are you here? Balde, are you there? I think Balde is still having, difficulties. All right. So, Alice, Sam, if you guys have any other additional thoughts on this, but what do you think, is actually beside the kickbacks and other things? What do you think, something like that, our people are not able to stop? And why do you think that they're not, knowledgeable about this? Because we know, even in America here or other places, every feet, every certain number of feet, you have a plant. I mean, they plant trees there. Okay, in front of my house here, there are trees planted. So we have seen in the West how this thing works. That's why you have here rainfalls every time of the year. There is nothing like this is rainy season or this is dry season. So why can't our people learn from that? What are we waiting for in terms of people who are agriculturalists? What are they waiting for? Because we need to educate our people how to keep this forest. I was driving through Baribu from Farafenye. I barely could find I mean one tree. Like if I see a tree here, there's a tree several like almost like how many, I mean, several meters away. When we were growing up, it doesn't used to be like that. So that means somebody came and took all those woods away. So I understand we have to do, we have to have firewoods. We don't have gases in the Gambia as common as here. I understand that, but I don't think all those things went into firewoods. No, nobody can convince me that.
In the Gambia, when they say firewood, maybe it's just a diameter like this. The small branches. That is firewood.
Exactly.
But not a 2 meter tree. There is no more firewood.
No, exactly. So, what is your
So
take
we are
on
talking
that,
here.
guys?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing we just have a group doing this control, and the next thing is it's not only the people cutting the trees. When these people come with their estates and building places, they also give no space for the trees. I mean, the trees which are there, they are the first thing going away. As we are developing, that means we are having less green because the urban area, for example, now, before when you say Serekunda, you can't even crossing with the plane, you cannot see the houses because everything is green. But now you can see Serekunda from a distance, only houses. when you are in the plane. So that is showing you, these houses and estates and I don't know. That's the other part of it. About that people come outside on stealing our resources illegally, and there is no control. That is too sad. The government should do something. Either to take
Okay.
a certain group from the army, extra for that, to control these things and at the borders. I think that is necessary because when they steal 2 o'clock at night, people are sleeping. Before morning, the Gambia up to the border, that is just maybe 3 kilometers. They are away. Oh, before morning time, they are already gone. Over Senegal customers, and I don't know. And that is also going to be sold to the Chinese people. What the Gambia government don't have anything, the Gambian people don't have anything, nobody. Because there is no control.
Okay. All right. What do you have, Sam, on this? What can we
Well,
do? What is the situation? What we need to do to protect our forests?
I would say number one is we need tougher laws. We need our National Assembly to look at what laws do we have for forests, and then tighten those laws up, get them to be tougher laws, which will help the government or our country, in other words. But then that government should also put reinforcement in place. Like I said, you got to stop it first. When you're bleeding, you got to try to stop the bleeding first before you want to look at anything else. Stop the bleeding first by stopping this exploitation of trees. Tougher laws, real enforcement, create job opportunities by creating park rangers, people, forest guards that will be armed, and also be able to give them vehicles to patrol all the forests to make sure there's no illegal uh, 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 um, exploitation of trees. If they do this, that's a good way to stop it while the government look at the benefits and the risk of trees and then take the right step forward. But tougher laws will be a good thing. Anybody that's got doing something, caught doing something illegal, take them, arrest them, take them to court and prosecute them. Once you do that, you take the necessary steps. I think it will help stop all of this.
Yeah, but
So tougher laws will be a start.
don't you think also it's important that our government put in plans in place to replant woods? Because if you look at it,
Yeah.
nobody cares. If you
Yep.
go to the provinces, nobody cares the environment.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
everybody neglect the environment, and then they are in the combo areas, trying to all fight for one thing, crowded environment,
Yep.
fighting for like going to the market and then standing on the street and stuff like that. While like we neglected our agriculture, and then this is really 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 hurting our system. I don't think we have a clear plan. I mean, sometimes I question
But
myself. I
Yeah.
Mr.
mean, like,
Sawane,
what is
Mr.
the problem
Sawane,
with our people? I mean, like, why is it that we are not sensitizing and then giving like some kind of incentive for people to go and then cultivate and plant trees? You can have a garden and plant tons of trees, mangoes, orange, and get make a fortune out of them. Why would everybody be worried about going through the back way or trying to make ends meet instead of sitting in the market? These are
It's
things
the
that I mean,
education.
this is a concept that we need to encourage urban rural migration. I mean, rural urban migration has really hasn't helped us much. And as a government, the administration should look into kind of like shifting resources towards the provinces now, because it's cleaner there, the air is fresher, and it's less crowded, and the lands are vast. Go ahead.
Yeah, that there is actually a budget from the National Assembly, if I remember correctly. There is a budget for decentralization. If there is a decentralization budget, part of decentralizing is create opportunities out there in the rural area for people to stay there. and
Okay.
move there and do things, and rather than crowding the Combo area. But what you're saying in addition to that, really is the education part of it. We don't in Gambia, we don't have the right people, or we may have the right people but the wrong mindset. You know, the people that can go out in between the Department of Agriculture and Forestry really go on national television, sensitize people, tell people the benefits of planting trees in their environment. Let's create trees and stop killing trees. Bring all of those up and give them the benefits of having trees. This is where they can get more rain. If they have the more trees they have in the area, they may have more rains. You know, this is what is going to reduce the heat in Gambia when in summertime it gets real hot. If you plant a lot of trees around, it will not be as hot. So there's a lot of benefits to trees. So they need to do all of those, and unfortunately, they're not getting done. So those are some of the things that Department of Agriculture and Forestry need to take on and do something about those.
Maybe we should invite them on this show. We're gonna try to reach out to
Sure.
the Department of Forestry and Agriculture to try to see what is their plan. That way we can probably share ideas and see what are the what are the way forward. But we really need to work on this. I mean, if we have a green Gambia, of course we will have a wealthy Gambia.
It will not
That's
be hot.
what
It will
I.
not be that hot anymore
Uh,
if it's
that's,
green there.
that's
Yep.
what
Yeah.
I. That's what I wanted to say, Mr. Sawane. You know, you cannot also blame the people who come from the rural areas to the Congo areas because they are not being recognized and not being
Yep.
supported. And when they are not having what they were having for years before, that they can live from their groundnuts or from their milk or from their cows, they will also try to come down and try to leave. That's
Which I
why we have
understand,
this
which is
migration.
understandable. But
That's why, yeah, that's
but
why
what
we
I'm
have
saying
this
is that the
migration.
incentive should be there.
Yeah, that's
Whoever
it.
is
That's
in
it. That's it.
charge, folks who are
Right,
in charge should focus
right.
on that. The National Assembly, like Sam mentioned, should put
Yeah,
a specific things in place to encourage this kind of
right. They have to do it
things.
because there is budget. As I heard, there is money there. They should use it. I think Barrow is trying that because I think Basse is going to. They are having a lot of projects for Basse and the roads there and so on. That is also
Yeah,
a
yeah. I
big
mean, I've seen Barrow's government doing that, and
and
that's a plus
electricity in that
on their
area
side.
because that's the only way. That's it. That's the only way you can keep people in there where they are. Because if
Yeah,
they don't have it, they are also coming down. It's normal. So
yeah,
these are things they have to do.
yeah.
I hope that it will be successful because we have to. For example, I used to say that every time. We have the last years not not have been concentrating on agriculture and our products like before. You know, because people go and buy when it comes to the terminal. I mean, how to call it from the sea half. You know, everything is imported. So
Okay,
when people import something, they don't buy from our farmers, and when we then they don't buy from our farmers are also poor. They don't have something to eat. So we have to try and stop less imported goods and try to live more from our own production, which we can, for example, the people selling onion, they can live from it because people are going to buy Gambian onion, you know, so everybody will have something out. But when we just take one person, as I used to say, who is going to collect all this money in his own pocket, we don't have anything out of it. No Gambian is having anything, only he. He is having everything. Because he's going to make the import, he's going to make his profit from the people. On many Gambians, they just sit down and enjoy. Hey, I just go to the shop and buy it with the package, you know, whereby it's, you can even get it from your backyard. You
okay,
understand?
okay. Yeah. All right. So that's good. That's good. So now again we're gonna shift it to one of the topic that I think Mfamara is coming in. Since Balde will not we're not able to get Balde. Let me accept Mfamara quickly. Mfamara, welcome to the show. We missed you, my brother. Mfamara, are you there? Another agriculturist.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. We miss you, brother. How you doing?
Thank you so
Hello,
much.
Famara.
So we are not
I'm
seeing you.
good.
We are not seeing you on the screen. Is it that you are hiding something?
Actually, I'm at work right now, so I just decided to put up the camera because I'm still wearing my uniform. I don't
Okay,
know.
okay, okay. That's
Yeah,
understandable. That's understandable. What is important is the content that you're gonna give us. So before we wrap it up, I know you are into agriculture and forestry, and I think you have been
right.
following us. What we're discussing about the rural, and neglecting the rural areas and then taking all our timbers away to
Yeah,
China and stuff like that. The loopholes, the kickbacks. You know that Alice and them talk about, and all these things, and the regulation that need to be in place. And why is
right.
everybody stuck in combo area, trying to fight for, going to market and then stuff like that, and neglecting, our beautiful rural areas. So the National Assembly's job to create incentive to go back to the rural areas and take care of some of these woods that we lost and replace them, like encourage agriculture. We have better rainforests and rainfalls and all that. So what is your take before we move to unemployment?
Thank you very much, Sawan. I'm glad to be here again. It's been a while. I missed Alas for a little bit while, and then what's the other gentleman name again? Mr.
Sam.
Sam. Yeah, thank you
Long
so
time,
much.
Famara. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Alas. Thank you, Alas. Good to have you again, always. Mr. Sawane,
You too.
you see, Gambia, most of our political parties, they don't put environmental sustainability in our agenda. And then I was just listening to the new lady that's aspiring for candidacy of presidency, and she outlined plans, but I didn't hear anything about environment. And this is very unique to most of the political parties in the Gambia, because they think, of course, our economy is good, agriculture is good, but you know what? The pillars of our economy cannot progress and it cannot be productive without environmental sustainability, because we depend so much on our environment. And when we talk about environment, we don't only think about plants and animals. Even the quality of the air that we breathe is environment. The quality of the soil that we depend on for agriculture is environment. So people tend to forget that agriculture cannot prosper without environmental sustainability. We cannot live as human beings in a quality life. We cannot have good health if our environment is destroyed. And this is what we tend to forget, because you cannot advocate for a good, proper healthcare system when you don't put in environment into consideration. Say, for example, malaria is a very common disease in the Gambia, but if the environment is not clean, you don't take care of the environment, you don't take care of the unnecessary water bodies that are in the middle of the street where the mosquitoes can breed. You know, you're not actually doing much. So when we take care of the environment, we can even actually reduce the annual budget of the Ministry of Health, because Ministry of Health's budget is going up every year because of poor environment. When we cut down all the trees, the sun, the heat, the temperature is coming on us directly. And we don't need that too much of sunshine. We don't need that too much of heat. You don't feel comfortable, because it might get you even sick. So, these are some of the things that we are forgetting as a country. And then we tend to ignore them so much, and so much so that we are destroying ourselves, exposing ourselves to natural calamities, exposing ourselves to, the impact of climate change. This
Right.
is very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you talk about the timber you're talking about, of course, in the rural area, I mean, those days it's very cool in the rural areas, because they have abundant trees in their environment, you know, and when you go those days in the rural area, you don't feel that so much heat like we're feeling right now. So people went out to destroy those environments just for monetary gains. Those big trees you're talking about that they're exporting to China. Of course, it's a lot of money in China, because they need that product. They need that product to develop, but we are exposing ourselves instead. We're cutting down all those trees. Now, those poor communities, because they don't live in a very good houses like we do in the greater Banjul areas. They live in thatched grasses. They live in mud houses, you know. So those trees naturally is defending them from, you know, windstorms during the rainy season. Is defending them, you know, from other natural calamities. And then they are getting, you know, very nice air breeze, you know, from that trees. So once we cut them down, of course, we'll have money in the short term, but in the longer term, you know, like we see in the last rainy season, you know, a lot of damages has been done in the URR and CRR. People's roofs have been blown off because we are not prepared. You know, those people don't have the capacity, you know, to build a very good houses where they can, you know, live without, windstorm destroying the environment. So these are some of the things that we are forgetting, Sawane, and then unfortunately we're destroying ourselves and then exposing our poor people to the climate change induced natural disasters. You know, I mean, it's rather unfortunate.
Yeah, very good. I have just seen some a comment here by Pa Osman saying that I think the school education system should incorporate agriculture, husbandry, gardening, farming at elementary level for the kids to appreciate the feel, some form of indoctrination method. What do you guys think?
But I think that's a good idea. I think they have the environment and social. Is it social and environmental science? I think most schools are still doing that up till now. So at the school level, at least they are. I mean, they have these environmental clubs. They have these environmental or science clubs. So at the school level, they are getting educated. But our government is what is not encouraging environmental protection, even though we have very good environmental laws and then we are signatory to various international conventions and agreements, you know, in protecting our environment, but we are not actually, you know, enforcing those laws. We are not up to the obligations of those international conventions that we signed. So that's our problem, because the government is the one that's supposed to enforce those laws, because they're the one we entrusted with those responsibilities, you know, of taking care of our environment. So if you see a government ministry, for example, you know, being implicated in timber trade, and we all know that timber trade is banned by most countries, including Senegal, and then you're seeing people bringing out timber from Senegal, crossing the border, coming to Gambia, and then putting those timbers in the container, and then use our ports authority, and then taking those timber out. So, and don't tell me government is not aware of what is going on. Don't tell me our police officers are not seeing these timbers coming in our country. Don't tell me that the people who work in ports are not seeing these timbers being put into the container, shipped out of the country to China. They're saying it. And they know that it is against our forest regulation, our forest act, you know, our environmental, you know, agreements we signed, especially the Convention on International Trade on Endangered Species of Flora and Fauna, because Keno, or this rosewood, is an endangered species, you know, and then the Gambia is a signatory to that convention, just like Senegal. So technically, Senegal can even sue the Gambia for violating that international convention, because we are helping those unscrupulous businessmen and the Chinese who are going to Casamas to destroy those trees, and then using our country as a transit or as a holding ground, you know, to transport those trees outside our country. So we are technically not only breaking our national laws, but we're also breaking our international laws, which is totally unacceptable. So these are some of the things that we're seeing. The government is seeing them, but yet they are not taking any action. You know, I mean, this is where the problem lies. So we need political commitment. We need our institutions that we entrust to protect those environment to do their job.
That one we don't even
very good, very good point. Famara, you have actually nailed it.
We have that in many sections.
Yeah, go ahead, Alice. What do you want to say?
I mean, what Famara said is very right. We don't just have that problem about timber. We have that also in other resources and other sections. Yeah, that we need institutions who are going to watch these things, because when they are using us also as a gateway, that means we are also criminals, like the others. But sometimes you can be a criminal without knowing that you are a criminal. You understand? Because when I don't know the laws, I can also be a criminal. And I think Gambia is also like that. So you need these institutions who are trained and know the laws and everything. That's why I said that at the beginning, we need such an institute who are going to tell the people, even if it is going to be legal, which kind of tree is going to be felled or not, and things like
Okay.
that. So everybody knows.
All right, so we all get to the point. Okay, so finally, I'm pretty sure our viewers have actually like learned a lot from these things that you guys said. Now, quickly, let's jump onto the unemployment, because this is a very important thing. And before we jump on it, I just want to show you guys one thing that I came across, and is so like scary. Um, because I never knew that this is the kind of situation that we have. So I'm gonna share my screen with you in a minute. Actually less than a minute, so that you can see this. Okay. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the problem we're having in the Gambia. If you look at 2010, the unemployment is 9.7. It came down 2011, 2012, it dropping. For some reason, 2013, it went up a little bit, 9.4 or 9.7, and you see, the numbers going up. I mean, going down. So this is not really looking good. That means the unemployment is so bad, especially for the youth. And this is unemployment rate remain unchanged, 8.9% in 2019, from 8.990% in 2018. This is a huge number. Okay. I'm pretty sure before, in America here, before this coronavirus thing, I don't think we even hit 5 points, right? You guys can correct me, Sam, if you guys know what was the unemployment rate in the US before this coronavirus.
But when you see the development, it's even positive, Mr. Sawane.
Alex, can you Sam, can you hear me on Famara?
Yep,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, yes.
in
Well, what
between.
was the unemployment rate in US before the coronavirus? Can anybody remember?
I don't
Uh,
remember specifically, but I think it was around 4% or so.
Exactly. Like I
One
was
of the
thinking between 3 to
lowest.
4%. So
Yeah,
that's like when you look at that it's like in ratio wise we
yeah,
are three
somewhere.
times more. We are 3 times more. Okay, in Gambia when it comes to like US compare, 3 times more unemployment in terms of ratio. So what we're trying to say is that we need to do something about this. We cannot sustain this. We have a very, very young populace. About 60% of our populations are young folks, and their future is not certain because they have no job to do. I can attest to this because last year I was in the Gambia in April, and when I went to the airport, the moment I came out, if you see the number of youths that came just to help me carry my luggage to the car, carry my luggage to the car so I can give them tips. Some are carrying bags on their back. I mean, I was shocked. I said, what is all this youth? I thought there was an event going on outside the airport. They told me that, bro, I'm gonna fee, then son of fee, small world of, it's not that up to par, but Alice can correct me, right? So this is what they were saying. And I'm like, okay, so you mean all of you here need some kind of employment? That's why? Yeah. Honey, bro, then fisona man. That's why. I said, okay, this is too much. Okay. So what I'm trying to say, that unemployment is really a problem. And some of it can be individuals, some of it can be, um, you can call it being lazy. I'm not going to fault the government for everything, because the government creates, loopholes. I mean, creates, like opportunities for jobs, for small businesses to invest. Okay, it's not solely their job to create employment directly, but they are also responsible to create loopholes, incentive, and then areas that could encourage investors to come. So they have some responsibility to this as well. But us too, the youth, I think we have to recalibrate our mind. Yes, I mean, if I speak, you can say, "Oh, he is in the U.S. So why would he be saying we shouldn't go through the back way? He's already there. He didn't return back home." Yes, you have a point there. I came here
Everybody
in the
knows that it's dangerous.
1992s. That time, most of you youths are small. I mean, like probably haven't been born yet. Okay, so it's a long time when I came here. That time, the country hasn't plunged into Jammeh's hand, 1992. So some of this, it was not really in need, but I came for education. I can defend myself on that. But some people make this argument: listen, let's go through the back way. Don't listen to them because they are already there. But we're here trying to come back home. That's what we really doing. I mean, some of us, because again, like it's not all about the West is not as what everybody thought of. But again, let's focus on the key thing is unemployment. Let's try to calibrate our mind to start to like be creative. There's a lot in the Gambia that young folks can get involved with, okay, and that the government need to support it. Like there is a training. There are like there are ways that trainings can be done. You don't only go to school theoretically to study. You need to do practical work. Okay, you need to do practical aspect of it in technology or other areas where people can come with creative ideas and implement them and sell it, export it outside. So I think that mindset that need to be calibrated, and the government should have a lot of money allocated for those kind of trainings. Not only having a Gambian university, you know, no, theoretical things are not actually putting out there. Having engineering, investing in education, investing in things like technology would take us to another level. So with that, I'm just gonna let you guys jump in. Um, I don't want to go too much on the description of the issue. So who's coming in before we wrap it up?
I can comment if I'm allowed. Mr. Sone or Sam.
Who's coming in?
Alex said he can come in. Go ahead, Alex. I'll go after you.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, because I already talked about it already, how many years back, I can always say the same thing because nothing has changed.
Okay.
So I said the last time too, I think Mr. Sawane knows that too, that the problem we're having in the Gambia, I think starts with our curriculum. That's why those days I was talking about we need a curriculum reform in the Gambia. Because if you look at it, we're still taking the same way after the colonial time. That means you go to school, you do the theory things, you go for studies, also theory, you come to Gambia in the office. So, I mean, it was functioning all the time. But people need to try, as Sawane said, also to look on the other side. That means we should not be always going of these theory things, but of the technical side, like the GTTI, when we have a lot of them in the Gambia, that people also of the practical side also get busy and try to support the private sector also, build their own businesses, employ people also. In many countries here in Europe, the government is not everything. most of the employment is done by the private sector. You understand? But in the Gambia, we still have that style. If you get employed, it's from Barrow. You understand? And that's been taking place all these years. We have to change that. Changing that, we have to start from the root. That means our way of curriculum. I mean, the curriculum that we change it, not only to study geography, not only to study health. Health science is even better because they start going to be a doctor. You know, we still do something with the hands. But if you see the way we are taught, this system was there since and is still there today. You study English, that's why we have a lot of people, they can speak only English language and nothing more, because that's our way of learning. That's what we do. We learn subjects that we can only talk or write. You understand? So for a developing country like Gambia or many West African countries, we have seen it in Ghana and all these people, you know, even their universities, you know, people rust on the universities which are having to do with technology, you know, with engineering, things like that. Because if you do it, you are okay, because it's needed. You understand? So they also took time, but they changed everything. They go for studies, they make engineering, they go and make their doctor. When they come, they are doctors, you know, everything with hand. You understand? If we train our young people, you know, for me, I was just lucky. I was in St. Peter's Technical High School, you know. I came here with this background that gave me the chance to go further, you know. That is also not those days you have only Lamin Technical Secondary where you can even do something technical. If you, those days you have St. Augustine's, Gambia High, and all these schools, they were the biggest schools in the Gambia, but what do you do? Only writing and talking. So that is our curriculum. That's why I used to say we have to change. That is the route we have to start. The next generation for us is very late, but for the next generation to try and tell them to do more technical things. And that's something the government should also support. Because if you look at it, we cannot even, we have a lot of people with degrees, PhD and everything. If you say now we want to construct a road, we have to go and hold people from outside the Gambia, not in the Gambia with our degrees.
Yep.
And that is very sad. And that is very sad, you know. And the government cannot employ everybody. That is also a fact.
So that means that means the mindset is something that we need to change.
I mean, we cannot change it because even as a kid, because we are not that far to tell our parents, no, I will not do this, I'll do that. You understand? That's why we have to start it also very, 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 very early and bring this mindset very early, you know, because those days, if your mother said you have to go to Bakau second primary, you say no, you will have problems. So we only had to do it also as they say, and most of them were not. They didn't go to school.
Yes,
so
yes, educated. Yeah.
They'll only tell you,
all right.
The kids from this person, they are going there. You have to go there. If you don't go there, so it's but that's not their fault. This system must be changed, must be reformed. That should come from the Gambia government.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Alice, for that insight. I mean, you've made a great point there. Sam, what do you have to add to that? Because definitely, I mean, like you know, like unemployment is a disaster in our country right now.
Yep. Definitely, it is. And I'll echo what Alice said about changing our curriculum. That's one thing. But where I want to start is there should be, you know, at least two areas of employment opportunities for people, for youth. The government cannot do all of this, so private sector really need to be encouraged to do that by creating some incentives for the private sector. Give them just like in America here, give them incentives to be able to get people off the street and bring them to work, give them tax breaks, give them things for them to be able to hire people, you know, and get them to work. So that's one thing for the private sector. Government need to do something for the private sector and encourage them to hire people, more people. Now, on the side of the government, what the government can do is We always talk about reform. There is a lot, almost every department in Gambia need to be reformed. Everything in Gambia need to be reformed, and we don't have that leadership yet
The
that
sooner,
has done that reform.
the sooner the better, right?
The sooner the better. So we need that reform in all sectors. Our curriculum need to be reformed for school, um, which really need to include from primary, especially secondary education, with technical skills that can
Exactly.
be transferred into some of the government sectors. For example, the army. If you look at the security sector, we always say security reform, security reform. In my mind, when we reform the security, especially the army, Gambia's army really shouldn't be a big army because we are not going to fight anybody. Who are we going to fight?
We can't
you
even
know,
win any
so
fight.
so we need to we exactly. So
Don't fight
we need to
anybody.
reform our army to include and encourage more of advanced skills of technology. For example, from secondary or high school, people can enroll into Army to go and learn more about carpentry, welding, air conditioning, you name it, masonry, you name it. All of those technical skills can be there for these people because the Army has branches in all of these areas, building, construction, air conditioning, heating and cooling, carpentry, welding, electricians. They can all go into Army and really expand their knowledge in this and doing hands-on training there as well. From what they learn from secondary to high school, they go to the Army to really certify there, because we should have really very skilled and experienced instructors in there that will teach them all of these and prepare them to be able to come out of the Army when their time is up and be able to open their own businesses and employ more people while they're in training. And here's where they're going to get the hands-on training while they're in training, not just the theory. While they're in the Army training there, let's say Farafenya High School or Farafenya, primary school was knocked down by a windstorm. This team from the Army should be able to use that as part of their exercise, go to Farafenya and build a new school for them by
Uh-huh.
using the masoners, the carpenters build chairs for them and tables, build the roof. Electricians come in and do the wiring there. Welder men come in and build, do a lot of welding needs in there. As part of that practice, this is what they can do, and that will be less expense to the government because we are using our own people, and we can even reserve certain forests and say this is a government reserved forest, and in that forest nobody can cut any timber out of there but the army can go in and use the ones that are the trees that are died, that are dead, the dead trees, cut those, take them to the Army and form them into nice woods where they can build chairs out of them. And every school and any government place that needs chairs made of wood, the Army will supply that. We're not buying them from outside. The Army will supply it because we have an Army training team that is a skill focus on carpentry that is going to build these for us. So if you look at that, this will give those people opportunities to learn more and have a lot of hands-on skill training. And when they retire or when they leave the Army, when they finish their service, they can go back to the community knowing that they have some
And
skills.
even
They have
with
very
their
good
own
skills that they
business.
can start on their own. They can go to the banks and get loans and open their own workshop and hire more people and train those people to work with them. And also, the government and the private sector should support them when they need things like this or tools like that. They should be able to go to these people and say, I want 25 chairs, or I want to build a community hospital, but I want your team to do the roofing for us. I want your team to do the electrical wiring for us. Give them contracts. Let the
Right.
government give them contracts to be able to sustain their business as well. This is a way to create employment for people by starting them from secondary level all the way to high school, from high school to the Gambia Army, which will serve like a college by teaching them all the technical skills. And in fact, some also at the end of course, the teachers and the instructors in the Army, at some point they're also going to retire. When they retire, they come out, there will be some of these people that will step up and take that role because they're very well certified and they can do the job well. So the government has a lot of opportunities to create job opportunities for people, but if they can, and if they can restructure themselves and do proper employment, create proper employment opportunities, but at the same time help sponsor or help the private sector grow their businesses by employing more people while the government subsidizes or give them tax breaks for employing people. This will be a good way, and it will really stop a lot of people because young kids can see that, oh, now I can go to high school. From high school, I want to be a carpenter. I want to have my own workshop one day. I want to have
Exactly.
contracts for the government. So I will go to
Exactly.
the army and enroll there, not because I'm going to a war, but because I want to go be able to learn something, some skills there, which I can transfer into my community and not only help my family, but help my government and save money.
Very good insight. So, Mfamara, I'm pretty sure
Yes,
you are hearing all the points that have been highlighted.
absolutely, absolutely, and I totally agree with Sam because when I was in East Africa some 20 years ago, when I was studying in East Africa, this is some of the things they were doing. They call like national services. So if you graduate from high school, before you start an employment in the government or anywhere, you have to go for a mandatory 1 year or 2 year national service. So during that national service, you have the opportunity to learn any skills that you think you might be interested in, or probably, I mean, you might even come out with a new skills that you might not even, even thought about, but because of the national service that you are on a mandatory national service, you come out with something that you learn. So you can have
Exactly.
your high school graduate, but maybe you come out to be a good tailor, or you can come out to be a good welderman or a good bricklayer. You know what I'm saying? So from there on, if you want to go and work for the government, you can. If you want to pursue higher education, you want to go to college, you can go. But you still have something that you came out with, a skills that you can be able to utilize yourself, or even earn yourself a part-time job that could pay for your college, tuition fees or your university tuition fees. So I think these are some of the things that are very, very important. So I think the Gambia, they call it, what is it called? Is it the President Award Scheme in the Gambia? I think the government needs to intensify that thing. Imagine with this European Union youth empowerment project, the millions of euros that we got. If at all of those millions of euros were established, in expanding these youth centers or these skill centers, for example, and then maybe say in 10 years time or in 5 years time, we come up with this policy that every grade 12, if you finish from your grade 12 before you go into a college or go into a university, you must compulsorily serve the government, that 1 year. And like Mr. Sam was saying, if there is some things that needs to be done, which is a government project, say they want to build a school like Sam given a good example of, or a welder students who learn welding skills, for example,
Exactly.
government can give them that contract, to build steel benches for schools. So instead of hiring, contractors that might cost them much, but the government will now instead buy only the material, to build these skill benches for schools, you know, and then they can even, go and build school buildings, for other schools where it will cost the government less, and yet they are still benefiting from their services that they're providing. And in the army, of course, during the Jammeh's time, it was only the security forces that are actually employing the youths. So we have more human resources in the security sector than anywhere in the public sector. So we can even utilize those security sectors in the army. When the recruitment, I think the recruitment process of the army, I think is about 6 months to 1 year. I'm not sure. So during that time too, we can utilize the army, because we are paying them that time anyway. They are receiving their salary, whether it is a full salary or not. But at least they are receiving some salary, and the government was giving them food and government is giving them accommodation. So imagine if those old recruits from the police, the army, the prison police, the immigration, all of those recruits are coming out with a skill that will be useful to our economy, then it's something that we can use. Use this, especially this coronavirus, for example, where we spend millions of, Gambian dollars, producing certain things like the mask, and other basic things. We can utilize, these security forces and our youths that are trained, to do those kind of things that you can reduce, kind of unemployment. So these are the kind of the things that we need to look into now for future, so that we can reduce the population or the unemployment in the youth population. Yeah, very good. And
So
some key sectors like fisheries, for example. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
You have a question?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now to reduce the employment,
Mhm.
yeah, to reduce the unemployment right now, and we're thinking of the long term. The long term, just like Sam said, we need to have a mandatory training for all the grade 12s. When they finish their grade 12, they must work for the government service for at least 1 year. During that time, they learn skills. But for right now, we need to look at the sectors that are actually contributing into our economy. And fisheries is one of them. The Gambia's fisheries is worth millions of dollars every year. But unfortunately, this sector is in the hands of foreigners. So we need to be proactive now, instead of hiring or bringing in Chinese investors to come and then utilize this area and then taking out all that money, sending it out abroad, and we're getting a chicken feed. I think it is important that we build this sector, and so that it can be beneficial to our youths. Okay, take for example the 550,000 euro that the Gambia government is going to receive from the EU fishing agreement. And this is like the tuna. The EU is interested in our tuna. They are not interested in the small pelagic fisheries that the Chinese are over exploiting raw now. So imagine that 550,000 euro a year coming into the government for 6 years. Well, I can tell you with 550,000 a year, I mean, they can concentrate on building boats and training some of our youths that are interested in fishing, buying them nets so that they can go out and fishing, and empower these youths so that they can, help themselves and then contribute into the sector. So instead of the Senegalese coming in, and then, taking all our fish because we are giving them the license, we are now going to empower these youths. I tell you, if there is no Senegalese in the Gambia, our youths will be prepared to go out in the sea and do the fishing
Exactly.
themselves, come out
Exactly.
and sell this fish and utilize it. But because
Exactly.
we think that our youths are lazy, they are not lazy. It's because we are giving so much right to foreigners to come into our country and do those kind of things. So if the government concentrate on that, every coastal communities, train at least 25 to 50 youths in Brufut, in Bakau, in Tanje, in Gunjur, in Katong, in Tendaba, in LRR, all the centers. I can tell you within 6 years, the money we are receiving from EU, we can build the skills and the capacity of our youths and empower them to go fishing, and then they can help themselves and they contribute to the economy of our country. Okay. Now, thank God, when it comes to beggary now, so many Gambians are into beggary now. So we've seen our own diaspora, and Fode Singare, is into beggary and he's employing youths now. And then, say if diaspora is interested in reducing employment, for example, we all in diaspora, instead of, coming together, GoFundMe, government projects or what they need to do, we can all contribute because we have over, 100 to 200,000 to 400,000 Gambian diaspora. So if we all contribute $100 a month, so you're talking about over $1 million every year that we can contribute as diasporans, and then own our own business in Gambia, intensify the beggars so that the Guineans or the foreigners who comes into bakery business, go on strike and our people go hungry. Now we can employ our own brothers, train them, have our own bakeries across the country, and then, that will reduce employment. We can even go into welding, as well. So those are all ventures that we can all control ourselves instead of, leaving them into the hands of the foreigners, and I'll build our economy and empower our youth.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have to be creative. Gambians are not lazy, but our government is not giving us that courage to go into business because they always give you bottlenecks. When a Gambian wants to invest, you go through those bureaucracies, trying to complete your paperwork. Much more like the foreign investors, when they come, they are ready to bribe our government officials just to get their paperwork, So a lot of these government contracts are all going into Indians and Chinese, investors in our country, rather than our own brothers and sisters. So these are some of the challenges we are facing in our own country.
Yeah. So just that remind me of Abraham. Is it Abraham? The guy who was trying to did the what do you call it, the ID card issue. So I think that was Abraham. Yeah. So it's a similar situation. He wasn't given the contract and all that. We had an opportunity to talk to President Barrow about this when he came here 2017, one-on-one with the New Gambia platform.
Yeah.
And ask him, why is it that the contracts are not, we don't give preference to our citizens? And it was myself and two other guys forced as a preferential because we have to encourage them to do business in the country.
Right.
And if you wanna, because the citizens are not gonna probably give you the kickbacks. If you wanna look at that, then definitely you're gonna alienate our citizens getting some of this contract like Abrahman. So what I'm trying to say is that when this question was raised, what Barrow said was, well, the government create loopholes. Incentive for businesses to, but they don't. It's not responsible to create jobs, which I kind of agree with him. But what I'm trying to say is that if two people come from, for a particular contract, it gives us preference. That's what I told the president. Give us preference because it's an encouragement. Not only an encouragement, it's also a way to set an example. And then the economy, the money stays here. If you give us the contract, we employ Gambians. If you give a Chinese the contract, they employ Chinese. So there are two things to this. First, you are encouraging people to create, to be more innovative and creating businesses, and so that they will, it will be easier for them to go through the bureaucracy, like you said, and then giving the citizens first. If they bet on the contract, then the foreigners, because what the foreigner is going to do is going to take the money home. Okay, I'm not an anti-foreigner, but what I'm trying to say is that, and the president acknowledged that at that time. This was 2017 in New York here. So I don't know if the government is demonstrating that now or not, but that was right after Abraham's case that we had on the news that he was denied, to do that and to get that contract. So just to make story short, well, I have few comments here that I want to read to you. One from King Job is saying that why can't we go there and create jobs? My answer to him is that yeah, this is what some of us are working on, trying to establish jobs back home, so that we start to establish businesses. I want to say business back home, so that our youth can be employed. So I think that should be a very important thing for every diasporan and Gambians who is able to, get some money. Let's try to do that. That will help our unemployment. Another thing that he said is that my brother Musa Dabo from Bansang is doing an excellent job back home. If he continues, Gambia would soon consume their own rice. Okay, excellent, Musa Dabo. I would like to hear more about Musa. I mean, if Gambians can consume their own rice, hey, that's one of the, that would be one of the biggest news that out there, that we would all love to hear. So I have another comment here from another gentleman called Pa Usman Jete. What is he saying is that I agree with the panelists. Barrow government to launch an ambitious ambitious and large-scale vocational training, technical training of youth under the military in all job skills, carpentry, masonry, plumbing, welding. At most, when these young men leave the country, at the same point, they have a skill as a foundation to jumpstart a career. One of the successes of West Indians like Jamaicans, Trinidadians who have some education is the skill-based background. I think the gentleman is right as well. So
Yeah,
both these
that's
people are
right.
right. Yeah,
That
and
is
then
right.
those are good points. But let's do the final roundup as we are about an hour and a half on this show. We can put our
Right.
final thoughts and but this has been a great, like a great informative and discursive panel, and I definitely think there are a lot of takeaway from us, the citizens, and even the government officials or civil servants. So let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you.
Jumping
I
in.
think I might go because I'm almost finishing my lunch break now. So I will
Thank you,
just
thank
go
you, thank you
quickly.
for your time,
But
Famara.
yeah,
I always appreciate
yeah,
it.
thank
Famara,
you.
take
Yeah,
care.
thank you. I think our government needs to be certain sectors. We need to jealously guard those sectors. We make sure the foreigners don't control those sectors. And then fisheries is one of them. Some of this business is one of them, like bakery and even tailoring. Nobody knows who is sewing President Barrow's dress. Is it a Senegalese or a Gambian? I don't even know. So we need to see President Barrow hiring Gambian tailor in State House that is sewing his dress. So I don't even know whether it's a Senegalese tailor or a Gambian tailor that is, sewing President Barrow's dress. So these are some of the things that we need to jealously guard, very well, because Senegalese are making a lot of money in the Gambia. To sew a quality haftan, you pay nothing less than 1,500. Depending on the quality and then the design, you might even go up to 3,000 to 5,000. For one dress. So if you can sew 10 dress in a week, so imagine a Senegalese tailor can go home with 20 to 25,000 or 30,000 a week, you know, depending on this season,
But
or even more.
Famara,
So
I
so
think there we need another mindset because Gambia, our things are not always attractive, but when we have it from somewhere else, when we change this and try to use what we have, then it will be
yeah.
okay. But you
So
know that
slowly,
why
that's what
Senegal
I'm
always
saying.
come
Because
to us, they know that
if
we
you
think that
if you jealously guide that sector, I mean, you don't have any competition with foreigners. They either take your own or you go without it. So those are some of the things that we need to look at. Because if a Gambian dominate that sector, for example, I mean, maybe you have some few Senegalese. You cannot have the whole population going for one or two Senegalese. So they will rather go and patronize our brothers. So that's what you look at. So when we're giving licensing and permits to people in this tailoring industry, it's something we can control. We can say, yes, we have tailors here in the Gambia. So if we're going to allow anybody who is a tailor and is from Senegal or any part of the country, we'll say, okay, we'll allow this certain amount of tailors across, for example. I mean, you can somehow control it. It's not even mean that you are not actually against foreign people coming in, but you're trying to give priority to your own citizen to make money, and then get your I mean their own skills patronized. You know what I'm saying? So those are some. I'm not giving an example of how much money we are losing in terrorism industry, and yet we complain that there is no job in the Gambia when a Senegalese can make that amount of money,
but not
in a
only
month
that,
in
Farmer,
the Gambia.
you can even see it, the onion we eat, what we can
Yeah,
even grow in Gambia and export. What do? We wait till it comes from outside and we buy it.
exactly.
So we should change the mentality. We should try and, because these are all things, we don't need to go to anywhere and have degrees. I mean, just the government should support the farmers and we try to eat what we have. Then we'll save a lot of money because this
Exactly.
importation from these things is weakening our dollars. What people don't know. That's why we are having these problems in Gambia, that everything is very, very high. No, that's because every time we import, it's nice. But this current exchange is always weakening our dollars. You
Right.
understand?
I
And these are
agree.
things we can even make there. Some people will be happy. They'll tell you, the harbor is always, busy. La 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 la. They don't know the disadvantage. You know. So these are things the Gambia government should also try and
And
do.
also, Alice, just to say, add something to that, the health factor of that as well. The health
That's it.
wise, like you import something, you don't know what is in it.
That's it. They
Sam
poison
can
us and
agree, attest to
everything.
that, and then at the end of the day, we end up,
Everything.
getting sick, and there's no medical
Everything.
medical capabilities to keep us healthy. So,
Yep.
these
Yeah,
are
but
all
these are
things.
things
But
the government should. These are things the government should then, give incentives. For example, when a farmer is trying to, if you go to Swiss, Swiss, you'll see that the farmers are the richest. Why? Even if I try to go inside with meat, they'll stop me at the border. At a certain amount I can go with, but if not, they'll say stop. No, because the farmers are going to sell the things there because they are going to leave and they don't need anything from outside to spoil the market. They control everything. That the farmers are not poor people. You understand? So these are all these things the government should take a step and do it. When we say we don't take any onion from outside, so our farmers make these onions, and Gambians use these onions. They buy it. Our farmers make the rice. We buy the rice. Nobody will be poor, but we are always sitting down waiting for something coming outside. And when it comes outside, it's a lot of money. Many people cannot buy it, and it's something we can even make outside in front of our doors. We have been doing that how many years? We were producing groundnuts. We were making our own oil in the Gambia. We could even export and soap. You know, at least these things were there. But today, what don't come through the harbor, we don't have it. This should be
okay,
changed, I think. And
yeah,
encourage that will give also it's another way of uh, putting down the unemployment rate, I think.
thank you,
And
Alice.
and, and,
Thank
and,
you.
and another thing, what Joby said, I wanted to answer before, is the mindset, and it was also my mindset. I thought about it. I went with my company there. I get a lot of Gambian youths. I talked with a lot of ministers to support the youths and everything. The business is there, but there is no support. So only the people who could start it are there trying to. They used to meet even every Sunday and things like that. But the government knows that I was with certain ministers and so, but still nothing. So
Thank
I
you.
know there are a lot of Gambians who did also the same thing, but when the support is not there from the Gambians,
They couldn't go further.
then you
Thank you
see
for that, Alex. Thank you for that. Sam, what is your final thoughts?
Well, I know we've been going for a long time now, and we need to wrap this up. But I would just say that for Gambia to be able to succeed and get to all of the things that we are talking about, it needs to start from leadership, from the top, between the leadership and the National Assembly, by making proper laws for us, and then holding people accountable to enforce those laws, or holding the government accountable to enforce the laws. I think would be good. We just need the right leadership with the right mindset. Once we get to that, all of these that we're talking about will come into play. Until we get into that, people's mindset is not going to change. And we really need to sensitize people by getting on national television and bringing all of this up for people to know what we are talking about here. Government need to do that, and it's always good and easy for a government to start fresh when you have a fresh government, not in the middle of the government. When the government sits there and they didn't do all of this until the middle, it's hard to change the rules of a game in the middle of the game.
Again.
You
Yeah.
can make good rules before the game starts and start with that, but not in the middle. Right now, corruption has taken over all of this and makes it very difficult for us to do so. Change your government, give people opportunity, and let's try something else.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, we're gonna thank our viewers for staying with us this long, and we're gonna be here next week the same time. Our guest would be one of the National Assembly member um, from Upper Salem. So we're gonna catch up on issues that matters to the country, and to the world as large. So again, thank you guys. Alice, thank you for your time. Sam, thank you.
No,
And Famaral
this is
just
good.
left. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Baldo was trying to get in. He has internet
Yes,
difficulties,
problem.
and
Technical
we
problem
will
today.
catch with him next week. So again,
Okay.
watch us here every Sunday, 11 o'clock Eastern. I mean Eastern time, and then GMT 3 o'clock. We will speak more on our issues that affects our people.
Okay,
Thank you
take care.
guys.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Peace.
Stay
Thank
safe.
you. All right.